Have you ever had that moment where you've avoided opening your bank account? Not because you're irresponsible, but because some part of you just didn't want to see it, didn't want to see the truth. I want you to hear this. That is not just a money problem. That is not a discipline problem. That is not a budgeting problem. That is not a stewardship problem. That's not a strategy problem. It is a nervous system problem. When I learned that, it actually makes me feel emotional. I got to release so much shame. Welcome back. All right, today we're going to dive into part 2. The nervous system is the secret to everything you want. So if you missed the first part, I want you to go back and listen to that because it's the foundation of everything I'm going to kind of build on today. And if you did listen, then you already know that the nervous system is running 95% of your life. Like all of your patterns, your reactions, your defaults, they come from your relationship with your nervous system. And today I want to talk about how the nervous system relates to money. And I've been interested in money a really long time. Like if there's soul contracts, which I believe there are, like I definitely agreed to be a student in the classroom of life around money because I have been interested in this since I was 7. I started my first business selling rocks at my bus stop. And I loved the idea that I could create something out of nothing. Like I had an idea and I could get paid for bringing it into the world. So I've always had this interest in money. I also have had lots of patterns show up around money that I have had to feel the pain from and let it be my teacher. And so I'm going to bring some of those out for you today so that hopefully you can learn from my mistakes. We can start to understand this nervous system. We can start to understand how does this keep us from the things that we want most? Because I know I'm not alone in this. I'm not alone in being a hardworking, heart-driven female entrepreneur who wants to bring these ideas down into the world. And yet my relationship, my invisible relationship with money is keeping me from ever manifesting and touching the things that I really want. So before we can touch reality, before we can really see and feel that thing we really want, we've got to understand what's happening in the invisible. And that's in the nervous system. And so I want you to sit with this for a second. Let's start to feel if you're someone who has some invisible patterns around money that they need to address today. So have you ever had a really good month, right? The money comes in, things are flowing, it's feeling abundant. And then the next month it's completely flat. Or you just made a big deposit, you got a lot of money in the bank. And the next month you're like, where did it go? Right? Or have you ever been on the edge of a big expansion, a big breakthrough? You're like, this is it. Oh my gosh, I'm really doing it. And then somehow, probably cyclically, this has happened more than once, you've had a reason to pull back. Why it's not the time. And you've listened to that resistance. Or have you ever had a client pay late or not at all? Because you knew what they were going through. You felt wrong to kind of hold the boundary. And so you kind of let that boundary slide. Or have you ever had that moment where you've avoided opening your bank account? Not because you're irresponsible, but because some part of you just didn't want to see it, didn't want to see the truth. I want you to hear this. That is not just a money problem. That is not a discipline problem. That is not a budgeting problem. That is not a stewardship problem. That's not a strategy problem. It is a nervous system problem. When I learned that, it actually makes me feel emotional. I got to release so much shame. I had so many friends who could talk about the money that was in their bank account or the things they could do. And I remember thinking what is wrong with me? I've made so much money. I am so capable. I'm so strong. This is a great idea. I'm doing my job. And then I would have the shame of not understanding why I couldn't keep that money, right? But your nervous system, my nervous system was doing what it was designed to do. It has an internal set point that tells you how much you are comfortable with holding. And when I understood that the nervous system doesn't just regulate our emotions, it regulates your capacity. And when I say it regulates your capacity, I mean it manages your ability and it controls your potential. It does not matter how big you dream. It does not matter how much you put in your spreadsheet. Your follow through will come from your nervous system's relationship with money. And so I want to talk about that. I want you to imagine the thermostat in your house, right? You go to set it, you say, I want it at 70 degrees, right? It's programmed to that certain temperature. And so no matter how much heat or cold comes inside, it always returns the room back to that set point. Your nervous system is doing that exact same thing with wealth. It has a set point. It has a number, an energy, a level of receiving that it has decided, this feels safe for me. And when I say safe, I mean it feels normal. It feels comfortable. It feels familiar, because remember, the nervous system is not interested in your expansion or your dreams. It's interested, its job, literally by like biological design, its job is to keep you safe. So it's only asking, is this safe? Am I safe? Right? And so familiar things, it knows it won't die in. So it's like, let's just come right back to the familiar. So every time you've gone to exceed that set point, you've had a big launch, you've had a new client, like you've had more money come in than you were expecting, your system gets uncomfortable. And here's the thing about that discomfort. It does not feel like excitement. It's like, not, wow, God, you exceeded my expectations. I got more than I was expecting. Thank you. It's like, no. I don't know what to do with this. This feels like danger. And so your body will find a way to return you back to the familiar. It will do exactly what it needs to do to get you back to that internal set point. So if your body feels really comfortable with about $2,000 in the bank account, it will find a way to overspend. It will find a way to undercharge. It will find an unexpected expense. It will self-sabotage. It will shrink before the next breakthrough. And this is not a character flaw. It's your system doing exactly what it was designed to do, except it's doing it for a set point that no longer serves you. You are safe to grow, but your body just doesn't know it yet. And I want to say something that's really, really important. Like if you listen to anything I say today, this is the most important part. You will never out-earn your nervous system's capacity to hold wealth, at least not for long. You can never out-earn your nervous system's capacity to hold wealth. That's what I wasn't getting. I would just keep trying to do more, to out-earn, to finally like expand myself into a place. But it did not matter how much was in my bank account or how much flowed to me. It flowed right through me, right? So let's talk about some of the ways that your money relationship might be showing up in a stress response, like a survival state around money. And I want you to just listen to me and just be like, that one's me. Oh, that one's me too. Like just kind of listen in as I share these. So there are 4 survival states: fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. So fight looks like controlling money out of fear. It's that white knuckling. It's that panic pricing. It's making financial decisions from urgency instead of clarity. And maybe you can even feel that when I'm saying it. Flight looks like overworking to feel safe, like never being present. Let me just like keep working, always chasing the next thing, never pausing long enough to really even be with what you've received, never really knowing how to enjoy what you've received, what's coming in, right? The next one is freeze. And freeze looks like avoidance energy. It's avoiding all of the numbers. It's avoiding not even sending invoices to people who owe you money. It's not following up with the leads for the potentials of the people who would maybe like to work with you, right? It's not looking at what's actually there. So check in on that energy. Then we've got fawn. And this one's a big one, especially for women, because fawn looks like making yourself financially smaller so that other people are more comfortable with you. The fawn response is always relationship-based. It's people-based. And so this might look like letting your client default on their payment, again, because you know what's going on in their personal life, or undercharging because you don't want to feel too expensive or not accessible, right? Or it looks like over delivering, giving more and more so that you can really justify the value of your worth, right? None of that is generosity. None of that is kind. It's actually energetically like depleting to you, which I'll talk about in another episode. But the nervous system has learned somewhere that it needs to keep everyone else happy in order to be safe, but it is costing you your own energy. It's costing you your boundaries and your own ability to receive the exact thing that you're asking for, right? And so I want you to really feel into those patterns. And, I told you that I have a history around money. And for me, a lot of those patterns showed up around overworking. I was definitely a flight person. It was like, I can't stay still. I need to always be making money. It was absolutely avoidance energy. I didn't want to look. I would freeze. I would just like not want to look. I didn't want to see the truth. It felt like it might swallow me whole to know my real numbers. I remember swiping at grocery stores, just being like, oh God, please don't decline. I remember one time it did decline and I had an entire, $200 worth of groceries at that time. So it's probably like $300 worth of groceries now. And I had my daughter with me and I had to like put it all back. Like I was like, we'll come back later. It was so mortifying. These patterns that would show up, right? I didn't want to track. I didn't want to be accountable. I didn't want to look at what was underneath because it felt like it was too much, right? And then I had patterns of loving my clients so much, knowing them so well that I would just justify it as compassion by just saying, you can pay me later, you can pay me later, you can pay me later. And then I came to the conclusion like, oh my gosh, this is costing me and my family. We are uncomfortable because I can't follow up with this person's commitment they made to me, right? This was costing me not just financially, but energetically. And so when my body stopped me with an adrenal crash, I had to really stop and look at everything because here's what happened with an adrenal crash. I lost my ability to think. I had no energy to work. I had no vision for the future. I could not proactively work my business anymore. So all of a sudden, I got to watch all of my agreements of money going out. I got to watch how much money had come in and how much was going out. I got to see all the people that owed me that I had not collected on yet. All these patterns got revealed to me that I had the ability to not have to be with because I was making so much money. And so this became a really sobering moment for me around money when I started to realize how quickly it was moving out, how I didn't know how to receive, how I didn't know how to hold money. Every time it came in, I needed to move it, right? I needed to spend it, invest, expand, right? So again, what I started to realize was this wasn't a money problem. This was an energy problem. This was a safety problem. And my body had been telling me the truth the whole time. I was just unable to see it until it forced me to stop. And I do not want this for you guys. I do not want my friends who are listening to this episode, like, I don't want you to burn out so that you stop and see how you've been living. I want, we get to learn two ways. We learn through our own experiences or we learn through the wisdom of other people. And I'm praying you will take some of my wisdom and listen to me. This cost me everything. And I am so much healthier and happier now that I have gotten it right with money. And I want to talk about another gap that might be happening because a lot of people will, like I did, invest in learning more about money, but they've done the mindset work, they've done the affirmations, they've even done the restrictive, belief systems and budgeting, and they just can't get it to stick, right? The patterns just keep showing up. And it's because you can have an abundant mindset and have a scarcity identity. And your identity will always win because the mindset is only 5%, right? The mindset is 5% of your brain. It's where your conscious thoughts, your beliefs you can articulate. That's where that lives. But your identity, it lives in your body. It lives in your patterns in that 95%. And your identity is who you are repeatedly being, right? The way you create a new identity, it's who you are repeatedly being. And so it's who you default into without trying. And so identity can show up in the way you pause before you raise your price, or the way you over-explain your offer before someone's even said no, or the way you feel a little bit uncomfortable when money comes in easily, like somehow you need to justify it or earn it harder or give away more to match it, right? A scarcity identity is not something that like announces itself. It doesn't visibly show up on you. It lives in really small moments and it's stored in the nervous system and not in your thoughts, which means you cannot think your way out of it. You cannot even behave your way out of it. You can't steward it, budget it, do all of these things without having a different feeling experience with it. You have to feel your way out of it. So I want us to take a minute. And I want to give you something practical to experience right now. So if you're able, I want you to sit up straight. Take a deep breath. Let your shoulders drop. And I want you to think about a number, a monthly income number that feels really expansive for you. Not impossible, but it's stretchy. And I want you to hold that number in your mind. And I want you to begin to notice what happens in your body when you hold that monthly number. Does your belly start to get butterflies? Does your chest tighten? Maybe your breath gets a little shallow. Maybe there's thoughts immediately coming in on why this is not realistic. That contraction you just felt, that's your nervous system telling you it does not feel safe holding that number. That is not the truth about what's possible for you. It's just the truth about what is currently real for your internal set point. But the good news is set points can change, right? So I want you to take another breath, inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth. And let's try something different. Instead of reaching for that number, what if you just imagine for a second being someone, like putting on someone else's personality for a minute, being someone that number is completely normal for them. They don't even have to earn it with effort. They don't have to achieve it with hustle. They just hold that number very easily, very naturally. Like almost just imagine what that might be like for them if you were them. And just see how that lands differently in your body. What's that energy like? What's that shift when you go from doing to what it might be like to be it, right? From doing to being. From earning wealth, right? To being someone wealth flows to. That's the frequency work. And I want to paint a picture of you, what becomes available on the other side of this. When your nervous system feels safe holding wealth, stick with that, maybe even that experience as I explain this. I want you to kind of close your eyes and just feel into it. Let's just see. When your nervous system feels safe with wealth and being a wealthy woman, I want you to imagine you hold your prices without guilt or over-explanation. Imagine dropping your prices without explaining yourself. You receive payment without immediately thinking about how to justify getting it. Of course it comes. You make financial decisions from clarity. Not fear, not urgency, not scarcity. You make all of your decisions from clarity because you know who you are. You know where your money goes. You know why your money moves. You attract clients that match your value, your actual value, not your wounded version of you that keeps discounting itself, your full value. You trust yourself with money, so you follow up, you invoice, you collect. Oh, doesn't that feel good? Not because you became a different person, but because your body feels safe with money. It feels safe enough to receive, feels safe enough to hold, and money will start to stay. Again, not because you controlled it harder, but because your body stopped feeling like it needed to send it away. A regulated nervous system, y'all, does not just help you earn more. It helps you become someone who can hold more. And everything I just walked you through, like that set point, right? The survival patterns of money, the identity gap, the receiving practice, this is the work. This is the work I've been doing, and I feel like a whole new person. And this is exactly what I want to dive into with you inside of a masterclass I'm going to be doing called Frequency of Wealth. Because here's what I know after doing all of this work. You can understand this concept all day long, but understanding does not change your energetic set point. Your body needs a new experience. It needs a new felt sense of what it's like to be safe with money, what it's like to receive without collapsing, right? What it's like to feel contraction and to move through it, how to hold wealth. And this is what the Frequency of Wealth Masterclass is designed to create, right? We're not going to add on more strategy on top of a dysregulated nervous system. That does nothing. We are going to work with the system itself. I'm going to take you into action so that it can actually land. And the link is in the show notes. Listen, if something in this episode stirred up in you, that's your body saying yes. And I want you to trust that. I'd love to see you there. We're going to keep talking about money because we can work hard, but you're not meant to work hard for money. You weren't meant to be someone who has to struggle to keep money. You're meant to be someone safe enough to hold it. And the patterns you've seen in your financial life, like these cycles, the ceiling you keep hitting, the places where money keeps leaving, this is just evidence that there's a pattern. It is not evidence of who you are or what you're worth, right? It's just evidence of what your nervous system has been taught to do and how to hold. And that can change. And it changes slowly and over time, and then all at once. And that's going to happen through safety and not strategy. Can't wait to be with you guys again soon.